The Monroe Sims, and we are excited to have our older brother, Jasen Monroe, to come in because, as we know, the great Jay is the maestro. And we wanted to have a conversation about music being our universal language. Also, we want to pay homage to Councilwoman Kim Smith, who's provided us this space to focus on community engagement. And this coming weekend on Sunday, July 30th, we will be graced to have the Gospel Jubilee. This is the 9th year for the Gospel Jubilee. So we have Mr. Jasen Monroe on to talk more about that. And also for us just to have a plain conversation about the impact that music has on our lives.
Yes. Welcome, Jasen Monroe.
Welcome, Jasen.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So, Jasen, can you tell us, now, I mean, I don't want to divulge a whole lot. And we understand in this space, you know, it's a very non-judgmental space. Your feelings is your feelings, your views are your views. We don't really tap into a lot of the norms. We do address some of the statistical data and things like that. But we come to this table as content and context experts. Generally, a context expert with our lived and living experiences and how we can positively impact our community members based on the conversations that we have. What we do know is with Unspoken Elephants Incorporated, we talk about the things that we see and feel, but kind of don't even want to talk about it. So, Jasen, can you tell us, like, over your life, how music has positively impacted you or how it has made such a significant change for you to be where you are today?
Well, for me, music, it's so funny because I didn't want to do music, you know, and because I primarily focus on gospel. I grew up in the church, and so I was made to start directing the choir. Well, I started singing in the youth choir like 5 years old.
Yes.
Okay. But then I started directing about 13. I was 13 when I started directing the adult choir. And I had some great mentors, Reverend Alvin Paris. He was very instrumental in me. And then I had a visual of my uncle, Marvin Duval, who was over the youth choir for a very long time. So music now in my life is sort of multifaceted. It's made me popular, you know, in a way. Music has generated income for me, you know, if you want to be realistic. And then music has just been my life, you know. I love gospel. I love music now because now I'm listening to trap music, country music, you know. So I'm getting a different feel for the different genres of music in my older years. But primarily gospel, I love it. It's gotten me through a lot of issues in life.
Do you find it, and you know, I think I'm coming from a lens of sharing those spaces with you. And I must say, I've always been elated to be in those spaces with you, singing with you. Now, when I was younger, I couldn't stand it because my brother used to make me be the choir. And I had to sing like all 3 parts and get all the 3 parts right. But do you think, how do you feel, because outside of that too, you are a minister. Do you feel like you are compelled just to be focused on gospel music? Or do you feel like, or should I say convicted, or do you feel kind of some kind of way that you do like trap music? You do like country music? Do you feel like that's like not the right thing to do, or?
Absolutely not. It's my choice to be focused on gospel. But I think if I would have went to other genres, I would have been just as successful as I am, you know, with gospel. I just like gospel. And I don't know why, you know, because the funny thing is I grew up in the house with you and my mom, and mom listened to all kind of music. And so like today, I don't know the old school songs like you guys do, you know, because I was primarily with grandma.
Right.
Listening to Mahalia Jackson.
James Cleveland.
And James Cleveland.
at a young age.
Yeah.
Yeah. Andre Crouch.
Now, as I found out, sir, you also write.
Yep. So I did venture out writing. I have a book of songs, but I'm my hardest critic. So I have not really put music out. And then I think a part of that part I'm lazy with. I haven't really dove into it like I should have. Probably because I'm comfortable where I am and I need to stretch my wings, and do something different. But right now, that's on the bedroom.
Reason why I asked that question is because you know what? Sometimes within our society, people feel like, or sometimes feel compelled, if they have grown up in church or and have a relationship with God, that they can't venture out into other areas. But I also, but we know, as Christians, that once you're saved, you're always saved. But there are people who kind of feel compelled to, I have to do gospel. I can't do this. I can't do that. Or, it'll be against either like the norm. It'll be against my church's background, what they may say or may not say. So to your point, I think it's really cool to be able to venture out into different genres and to also know that God blesses us and places talent on everybody, right? Who he sees fit. So that person may be able to sing gospel and inspire others. We have, what's that? Motown, for example, who broke the color barriers. Artists like Ray Charles, that the segregation lines, that they were tearing apart segregational lines to go see artists. And then artists saying that they're not going to perform in certain venues because it wasn't inclusive to everybody. So I think that saying that and having this conversation with you, to shed light in those areas. And then also with the Gospel Jubilee coming up, I can say over the years, seeing how it's so inclusive to everybody, whether people are just really in tune with gospel or whether people are just in tune with music overall.
Well, two things. One, growing up, the church pastors didn't allow musicians to play in the bar. You either did one or the other. So there was two different sets of music. And then the next generation came in and said, hey, we're going to play in the club. We're going to tour with these secular artists. And, and we're just going to enjoy the music. And that's the biggest piece because that's what makes it universal. Because think about it. God created music.
Yes, correct.
So at the end of the day, it goes back to him. But if you take the lyrics out of a song, the music can do so much to a person's psyche,
Yeah.
So that's why I don't really focus now on a particular genre, even though I have a genre that I like, because music is bigger than that.
Yeah.
Okay, and again, it's free. The Gospel Jubilee.
The Gospel Jubilee is free.
So
it's open to the public. It's open to all families. The only criteria is to bring your chair. I mean, if you don't bring your chair, I did see a couple of years they have these benches, which I don't want to sit on the benches.
Don't do that.
Bring your chair, and not just that. There are
all types of vendors.
All types of vendors.
Food,
yep.
Jewelry.
Yep. Nonprofit organizations.
Yeah.
Black and brown businesses that are selling to Edge Point, all types of merchandise. And then, of course, our food vendors. And then the market themselves has such phenomenal restaurants that are there.
Right.
And then, Mr. Jasen, you want to speak to who's going to be there, your sponsors?
Oh, yeah. So the Jubilee this year, our main sponsor is Molina Health. Thank you so much, Molina Health, because they helped us out a great deal. And we really appreciate them seeing our vision with this to better our community through gospel music. But then we have other sponsors. Unspoken Elephants is a sponsor.
Yeah, UE Inc. Yes.
And then we have we got AmeriCorps who's tabling.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Our Spirit Online Radio, they're one of our sponsors. But then we got some good vendors, we got Common Ground Health is going to be there. They're different.
Yes.
We also have Cash.
Oh yes.
You know, so and oh no, this is the best one for me. Vertus High School.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
And so we got a variety
Mm-hmm.
of vendors. You could seek health questions. You can seek spiritual counseling, psychic counseling. You can ask tax questions, and then you can even go buy jewelry or food.
That's great. That's great. And thank you again. This is Rochester Free Radio, WRFZ 106.3, here with UE, Jasen Monroe, Walida Monroe Sims, and UE.
Yes. So then we're gonna dig into some other things. We're gonna ask Jasen, so because he's not gonna talk. We're gonna have to pull all this information out of him. Generally, we don't do that. We don't. We just have open conversation, and people want to share what music means to them. Then we just go ahead and do that. But outside of gospel music, Jasen, and the whole entire, how have you seen the impact of music? Just over, I would say, even in that space with the Gospel Jubilee, how have you seen such a positive impact it's done on our community?
Well, one thing about it is people rely on the music. If you go to a funeral, they want singing.
Yeah.
If you go to a wedding, they want singing. If you go to a family reunion, they want singing. So music has a great impact on our in our community. I was just actually pondering a thought. I'm going to teach a worship class in October, and I was just thinking about how universal music really is, And so when you think about it, you say music crosses all language barriers. Music crosses our cultures and backgrounds, So music is, like I said, a lot bigger than what we internalize it as. One of the remarkable aspects of music is that it has the ability to invoke emotions. So, and I use this scenario, this is like a downer, but when you break up and have a breakup in a relationship, you know what I'm saying? What is you playing? Oh, these old sad, you don't love me no more. A house is not a home. What's my favorite song? Go ahead and leave. Walk out the door.
Search with it. Search house.
One monkey don't stop no show. Stuff like that. But then, you got happy music,
Yeah.
And then who wrote that? Kanye, Because I'm Happy,
Oh, Pharrell.
Pharrell, yeah. And songs like that can really put you in the mood. Like in the mornings, I listen to gospel, but then I listen to like Kodak Black because he talking trash,
Right,
music is bumpy and it wakes me up.
Yeah.
So I like that piece. But then music also it bridges people together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can have people in a room with all different backgrounds and life issues, but music can gather us all together as one. And that's the beautiful part about music. And that's what I like about it, you know.
And I was really excited about having this topic because I can say personally, I saw it firsthand. Like outside of watching movies and documentaries, but I had a lived experience myself when I went over to Italy, thanks to my brother Jasen. We went over to Italy and, so many scriptures went through my mind when I was just standing in the area. We went to go over like a song fest, and we were a part of the song, like a contest, and we were contestants in that. But we sung "Oh Happy Day" in Italy. I can't remember the number of choirs that were there. And these choirs were from all over the world. Not all over the state, all over the world. When we got up to sing "Oh Happy Day," and I mean, people are speaking their native language from all over the world. Everybody was singing "Oh Happy Day," and it was like, oh my goodness. And once we were finished singing, we had crowds of people walking behind us singing "Oh Happy Day" from all over the world. I mean, in that moment, I was like in tears. It just brought me to the scripture, "For God so loved the world." And it was like, oh my goodness. Now, if this is not an example of music being the universal language, yes, I don't know what is.
And the power to unite the people.
The power to unite the people.
Across all all
yes,
cultures. Yeah, that was interesting. I forgot about that, because they were singing down the street, "Oh Happy Day." We was famous. You know?
Those are the "Oh Happy Day" people. Mm-hmm. And it's like, for me, I will never forget that experience. And we left years and came back to Italy, and people still remembered. That's the
that next year
that,
they came.
Yes. Mm-hmm. "Oh Happy Day." So that for me was a lived experience to really, for myself. You know, we know that music is a universal language, but to actually see it and feel it for yourself, that I must say that is a space that was extremely, extremely impactful for me. I also wanted to say, now, you know, like Jasen said, there are some songs that just get you through the day. You automatically know. And really how you were raised, and, you know, what type of church culture you were raised in. So for us, what really got you through was hymns. I'll be 50 years old. Right? And you could take like my children now, but because my children were brought up in church, they could probably sing five hymns. I'm going to give them 5.
Yeah.
They don't even probably know it's a hymn, but I can give them 5 hymns. For us, we can get both, the red and the black hymnal. Mm-hmm. And no, right?
And the green.
And the green. What was those called?
The Gospel Pearl.
The Gospel Pearl?
And then the 2 hymn books.
Yeah, the big green one with the orange papers. Yeah. But those are the type of songs. The hymns is really, really what got us through it. And still for me, I could always go back to a hymn for any circumstance. But also tapping into traditional and contemporary gospel. So, Jasen, since we're talking about that, and at the Gospel Jubilee, you have such a variety of artists that will be coming on.
Oh, yeah.
So you have, what artists, what type of gospel artists do you have coming on?
So we have some quartet groups. So I got Butch Chapman and
okay.
All right, I'm like, Butch.
I have my seat.
Yeah.
And a female group called Chosen Generation. They're really good.
Oh, good.
And then for the choirs, I'm so happy that the D9 choir is singing. That's
is that with the fraternity and sororities?
Black fraternity and sororities, they're singing. And then we're performing.
And who are we?
Brazilian Praise.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
And then our multicultural group, Spiritus Christi, they'll be performing. They're very good too. All our people is pretty good. We got some worship groups, the Rock Hope Praise Team, and we have Andresia Wells Smith from Victory Living Church. We got a special guest, Lucinda Moore. She's from Connecticut, and she's coming. She's a traditional artist.
Yeah.
So what she's singing, and then we have Maddie Cremati. I'm pulling her out her shell, you know.
Oh, yeah, Miss Maddie.
Yeah, so we got a variety of people.
Yeah.
For everybody, music for everyone, you know.
And that is for your community.
And the good thing about it is, I sell it like this: we're in the center of town, outside.
Right.
And so that reminds me of scriptures where God commands us to sing loud. And I think that our city needs to hear the music.
That's true.
And sing. You know, because even though they're the same, they're separate.
It sure is.
So, but our community really needs it. The
Yeah.
north, south, east, and west.
Now it's not. Now he's preaching, because that's a word right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sound.
Yes, a sound.
It's a sound that is needed, and it breaks the barriers and it breaks chains. And we are on one accord in that space. Things will happen.
Yeah, and so I was studying like the Old Testament. So like in 1 Samuel, David, King Saul commanded David to come play the harp because he was overcome with the evil spirit.
Yes.
But the Bible says that God sent the spirit on Saul.
Yeah.
And then God used his music to chase that spirit he sent away. So that shows how powerful music is. But then I was reading like in Second Kings, where Elisha requested a harp player to play while he prophesied. So I was like, wow, now that's different. You know, because music also aids us in ministry. You know, so music can soothe us, and then music can help us.
That's right.
You know, so I think music, again, is more than universal because it's God.
That's right. It's spiritual. It sets the atmosphere. So when you talk about that, you know, before the word is music. So the music is brought forth, and then the word is coming. Then now when the music and the word coincide, that's when you really know.
Yeah, but you know what else? So think about it. When you watch TV, now why do they play those jingles?
They're catchy.
They're catchy. And it makes you go to the store and buy the stuff.
It does.
And I was on my way here, and they played that commercial, give me that Kit Kat bar, you know.
And you want to Kit Kat.
And now I want a Kit Kat, you know. And I never really paid attention to commercials. Right. Yep. And then like TV shows like the Give Me a Break. You know, stuff like that. And music also defines situations and people.
That's true.
So you can hear something. That's why in movies, they put music to different scenes.
Oh yeah.
Because it creates the mood.
Oh yeah.
You know, I always wanted to do that as a career.
Oh, the screen, but you gotta have that. The whole track.
Like in Jaws, when the shark was coming,
You knew he was coming.
Yeah. Now you scared.
Now you scared.
Or if you watch the Exorcist and you hear that music, now you petrified.
Something coming.
Right. Yeah.
Do y'all remember that stuff?
So let me retract, Mr. Jason. So you were a teenager and you were doing an adult choir.
Yeah.
So how stressed were you?
I wasn't stressed because I didn't know what I was doing. And then the choir knew I didn't know what I was doing, and so they'd be yelling at me and not listening. But my grandmother and my mother was in the choir with their strong personalities, and my aunt, so they'd be like, shut up and leave that boy alone. You know, he learned it. And so then later on down the line, it was like, now we need Jason.
Yeah.
You know, so like I said, I didn't want to do it, you know.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
But you always had an ear for it.
Yeah, because my mother was a singer and my father was a musician. And my father had a band. And so he played all over town and recorded records and stuff. So he was so proud about that somebody was picking up after him.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? I was reading in my devotion about how there is wisdom in youth. Like when Paul was with Titus. You know, there is wisdom in youth. And I think with you learning and growing in that space with wisdom, with music, now look at you. And now you become like a mentor to other like young gospel artists or, you know, singers. And then it's kind of weird because you'll be like, am I a mentor? Have you ever felt like that? Like, am I?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm now an old head.
Yeah.
And my singers, we are old. Before we was the hot choir, everybody wanted us to sing.
Yeah.
Now we're the seasoned choir. People still want us to sing, but these young kids coming up, they doing all this crazy stuff.
But how do you feel about that? She brought that up. What are your and again, this is a safe space, so how you feel is how you feel. Based on the traditional, because I notice because, I sing with you, we sing a variety of music. And I think it's also important to know your strengths and your overstrengths, right?
Yep.
So we don't focus too much on the word weakness, but it's called overstrengths. And so there are certain choirs that, their strengths might be a ballad.
Mm-hmm.
Certain choirs where their strengths might be churchy music.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what that looks like. And I know that singing with ESC in the beginning, now Jasen, Monroe, and Resilient Praise, what our strengths were, like what that looked like for us. And if you look at us, I can't believe we're seasoned singers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh my goodness, we not young singers anymore.
But the funny thing is that was still relevant.
Yeah.
And that was my only is to remain relevant. So that's why I listen to different genres of music. I got to see where the music is moving, where it's going. Gospel went through this phase where it was all this, I would call it love making gospel music.
Ooh,
it was more groupish. It wasn't
yeah.
And then it went to soloists.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're saying bring the choir back. That's in the industry is bring the choir back.
Yeah.
So that's where the music is trying to go back to now. But as far as the young people around here, I embrace it. They keep me young, and what they doing. Sometimes I take it and build on it. Because they know what's out here as well.
Mm-hmm. What about like the national and artists right now? What is your favorite? Like, are you leaning more into the contemporary nowadays, or are you leaning more into the traditional? Because it's kind of really hard to find the traditional like now, but there's still artists that like I would say I wait to hear what Ricky Dillard's gonna come out with. I wait to see what Youthful Praise is gonna come out with.
In the industry, Ricky is old.
Exactly.
So he's us.
Right.
And but he's still relevant.
He's still very much relevant.
I know that for me right now, I've been trying to find me a favorite because my favorites were Donna Lawrence and Tri-City, and my favorites were always the Hawkins.
Yeah.
My all-time favorite is James Cleveland. I love him.
Of course.
But I love him for a variety of reasons.
Yes.
He wasn't just a choir master. He had the largest gospel convention, music convention.
Yes, yep, I remember that.
And I said, well, I want to do that one day. I want to have the largest thing for people to come, stuff like that. But now I listen, gospel-wise, I listen to Vincent Bohannon.
Mm-hmm. I
think he's got a fresh, simple, churchy sound, and I like churchy. And then I always listen to Youthful Praise. And,
it's one of my favorites.
That's about all I listen to.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to venture out to these groups, but I don't know their names.
I know, and I do listen because you know what I also learned too is the writer, the songwriter. Like Kirk Franklin is a phenomenal writer, right? And from back in the old school, again, I'm going to be 50, but I remember the ultimate writer was that Richard Smallwood. Like he could like a ballad. You know how Babyface is just known for writing, and Smokey Robinson is just known for like those ballads. Like Richard Smallwood, still like to write. His writing is phenomenal. Kirk Franklin's writing is like phenomenal. I love Youthful Praise, J.J. Harrison. Like the writing. So I started actually getting into that with music, like with gospel music, is like the writing, the writers of the music, because you're like, oh, they're singing it, but such and such wrote it. Like somebody else totally different would have written
I always wanted to, when I taught music, for it to be simple and catchy.
Yeah.
So I always listen to the beat first. I love Kirk Carr too, but he had too many words,
It do be a lot of words.
But his music is like timeless. Like Richard Smallwood, his music is timeless.
Phenomenal.
You know,
And singing it is not easy.
It takes you to sit down and study.
Yes. And that's another thing too. We can talk about that in the window of time that we have. And you know, we're not passing judgment on nobody, but some people can sing and some people can't. No, it just is what it is. I myself don't think I am a phenomenal singer. I'm a good background singer. When I get my notes, I try to hold on to my notes and stay focused.
But see,
Some people-
there's a difference between a choral singer, a lead singer, and a soloist.
Absolutely.
So that's the first step, knowing what you can do. So like for me, for you, you're a choral singer.
Yes.
I got Sister Serena Young. She is a
A
soloist.
soloist.
But then she could sing with a group, and then she could lead.
Yeah.
She's very versatile.
Yes.
But then I know some singers, I ain't gonna call their names because they yell at me. They're the best lead singers in the world. And you put them in the choir, now they doing their own thing.
Oh,
they
my
don't know how to sing with the group. And now I got to yell at them about that. So yeah, you just have to know what you can do, you know. And I remember growing up, they would say if you can't sing in a group, then you can't sing because there's no star but God.
That's right.
But in the realistic point of it is that some people weren't created to sing in a group.
That's right. Hence,
You know?
that would be me.
You're in the choir.
In the choir.
Yeah, but as far as like some people, they're meant to sing by themselves.
Oh yeah.
You know. And
So I'm looking over your portfolio, and you've sung with a lot of people, Mr. Graham, Blue Blade,
and that wasn't gospel.
and it wasn't
Right.
gospel. So, and you also been to Europe, both of you. Where was the best?
Oh, that's cool. At Jasen, we're the best. What was your best experience?
Where was your best experience?
Actually,
E.T.
I don't know because
Oh,
we
that's
sang
true.
at the Apollo.
Yeah.
We sang at the Apollo,
Senator Paolo.
and we sang at Radio City.
Yeah. Sang
And
on
we
the Bobby
sang
Jones show.
Bobby Jones. We was at BET.
We did How Sweet the Sound.
We sang in Detroit,
Mr. Lou Graham twice.
Oh,
We've been.
yeah, Lou Graham. We covered for him for the state fair.
But you know, as far as memorable, it would have to be the first time we went to Italy.
Yeah.
We were in the Tuscany region, and that was memorable for me because I remember not wanting to do it. And one of the choir members was like, because we got this letter, we had performed at Radio City, and then I got this letter about this tour, and I'm like, sound like a scam. So then when my administrator, she called, and it was legitimate, they were business, and so then they said, well, they gave us our fees we had to put in, and then they said, oh, we're going to bring the choir, we're going to bring the director to Italy so we can see where you're going to perform, where you're going to your hotels, and then restaurants you can take a group to eat. So then when I went there by myself, you know, that opened my eyes to a lot, you know, as far as organization and professionalism. And then just the experience of singing different, you know. But I think my most mind-blowing experience is two of them. The first time we did How Sweet the Sound and back in the Michael Bublé. To see the production piece behind the scenes, oh, it was a lot. It was a lot. And then to see, and like for Michael Bublé, there was over 10,000 people in that arena. It was actually sold out. And I was like, wow, one person can do this, you know, with music.
With music.
And he didn't even write the sing. He sang other people's stuff, you know.
Right, because he's like known to do
Like
the
the Frank
Sinatra of like now. Yeah.
It was just awesome. But to see all the different components, they had the sound under the stage, they had lighting, they had background monitors, then they had the lead. He had his own sound team. We had our own sound team. The orchestra had their own sound team. You know, it's just a lot. Then you had the lights and the stage managers, and it was a lot
Yeah.
going on. And I really was like, wow. Yeah, that made me want to do this because I was going to be like, okay, I'm done with this music. Time to do something else, you know. But every time I say that, another door opened, you know.
That's good. That's good.
Well, I would say you said your first thing. What you have been singing with the same people for how long?
20 years.
20 years.
It's been 20 years.
And the thing about it is that people be like, oh, we want to sing with y'all, want to sing with y'all. Then they come to rehearsal and be like, nah, I can't do this. And that's because they think it's me, but the group made their own sound, you know, and that sound is unique. And that's what made us stand out. I think it opened doors for us.
That's good. You guys went up against some big choirs to be so.
Oh,
strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a big sound. People are always amazed when we open up our house. They're like, it was 10 people. You got sound like 50. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of music.
Yeah.
In my household, our children, me and Miss Lolita, our children sing all types of music, from Pink to Gladys Knight and the Pimps. Who else?
Yeah.
But you want to know what's funny with that? See, I always thought Anaya, because she was out there, my child, was going to be the one to take music after me. And then she didn't.
Yeah.
When Belita had Anaya, I was watching her my late work nights, and I would have her to all my rehearsals.
Yes.
And we'd be out till midnight, and Mama would be like, "Stop having that baby out so late." I have her at all my rehearsals, and everybody called her Poo Poo because she was my Poo Poo. But then I said, okay, well, I think Jameer gonna take after me, and then I'm not quite sure. I know he likes to sing, but it's not.
It's not like up front
Right.
and center. He enjoys the
Behind
art
the scenes,
of music,
yes, he does.
the craft of
So
music,
then,
the technology behind music,
yeah,
and he will sing,
mhm.
right? Hence to like, he loves the technology behind it. Jameer is in another room right now, screen recording, because he loves media, and but he has a really good ear for music.
Right, but then I thought, okay, so then our other sister Jackie, I said, well, her kids is gonna take up the singing. And I said, well, Claire, she's younger, she liked to sing. And then I was like, no. So now my nephew Dylan, he's a rapper,
Oh,
and so I said, well, then maybe that's the way the music is gonna go now. You know,
Will there be a future collab?
you know what I'm saying? No.
yeah. And then also too with the people you were singing with your, I don't even consider. I'm not gonna say people. They're my family.
Mhm.
We have been together for so many years, and they are my family. And to see our children, it's like really amazing to see if they can actually be a choir. Like get our children to be a choir.
But the funny
I
thing
can't wait
is,
for that to happen.
yeah, growing up with Brendan, now I have to say I see him.
Yeah.
He's not biologically mine, but I see him picking up where I left.
Yes.
Because he understands what I do, how I do,
Mm-hmm.
and he loves it.
Yeah.
And he's a great singer.
Oh, he
Yes,
can
he
sing.
is.
Very
He
versatile.
is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal artist and anointed.
Yeah.
And I just want to put it out there. We like to address the elephant in the room, and if everybody really, really wants to know, you are hearing it from me. All of those who are on Facebook Live and our friends that are out there with WRFZ 106.3. Jason is a meanie in rehearsal.
No. I just like what I want to hear. The Lord tells me.
I had to bring that up. I had to bring that up because you want to know what people say over the years. Jason, that's your brother? You sing with him? Oh my goodness.
But you know what? No. See, this is the thing though. Is I have to be like that way with them because it's 15 strong personalities. And then one of me. So I meet everybody where they are.
I'm still waiting for 15 years for my first audition, but
We don't do that. And I
No,
told
we don't
you
audition.
need to worry about driving the van or something. That's that goes.
I can do that.
But I have to honestly say, we know when to, really, really focus, and because we don't ever want to have to stress Jason out. There are moments that we have been rehearsal. I tell y'all in all transparency, we must have got on his nerves so bad because one day we were all in rehearsal and it just wasn't going well that day. And next thing you know, Jason said, well, if y'all don't get it together, I'm leaving. Like, who does that? Nobody really was paying him attention, right? We thought he had left and went to the bathroom. He was at home on the couch. At home. We are in the church waiting. He was at home.
Left their bus right there.
Left us right there.
Laughing. Now I had a group, the Restoration Chorale. The funny thing with them was that all we did was laugh and rehearse, and I'd be so mad. And I was like, come on, we gotta sing. And they and then I started talking trash, and then they talk trash back. And then I just leave. And then we go to the area to perform and then knock it out the box.
Yes. That has been us on several occasions. Mm-hmm. There has been times that, and I think to your point, Jason, you made a point that the fact that we've been together for 20 years, we know each other's sound. We know what songs are going to work for us. You especially know what's going to work for us. You could tell us, okay, all we got to do is run through this one time. Mm-hmm. You could tell us that we might have to go over this. Now, this is going to take us doing this maybe 2 or 3 times before we get it. But at the end of the day, we may not have sung together in months. And then, guess what? Jay was like, look, we ain't had no time to rehearse. We got to do this. We have traveled afar, got out the car, and we're like, oh my gosh. Then there's times that we have rehearsed over and over, and everything hasn't always gone so well, right? And that's being with like experienced singers. But what I can say is, it's more to it than just singing with people.
Yeah, it's got to be fellowship.
It's real. That's right, and that is one thing you taught us. And another thing you taught us, outside of the fellowship, is having your own relationship with God.
Absolutely. Can't sing about nobody you don't know.
That's right.
You can't do that.
And let's give a congratulations for the 20 years
of
this group.
Yeah.
That's right. A lot of artists who haven't lasted that long.
That's right.
A lot of groups around here. That's why I honestly think people look up to me in that aspect.
Yeah.
Is that I have the same singers that moved away, and if I say, hey, I need y'all to come home to sing, and we got to go somewhere, they on the plane with us.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to teach these people, and this is the other piece. You can't be no dictator with grown people.
That's right.
You can't treat them like you don't want them to treat you.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I can say that with these groups, everybody's, I want a group so I can get the money.
Right.
And then now you got the money, and your choir don't have nothing, and y'all went out, now you're struggling to get to where you got to go. We never had that problem.
Or worrying about what's happening with you, and you have a phenomenal voice.
Mm-hmm.
Can sing down walls, but there's no anointing. And there's no, one thing I can honestly say that I always respected about you, Jason, not just as my brother, but in your ministry overall, is that with our teachings, we were taught the Word of God and still are taught the Word of God. And you never stirred away from that. You would literally tell us in rehearsal, did y'all listen to the words of the song? This is literally scripture. Have you read this scripture? Can you apply the words of this song to your life? And when I tell you we did that, half the time we couldn't even get through the song ourselves. We would have to literally rehearse for a minute just to get ourselves emotionally together, because that's just how much the song meant to us in our personal lives. And so I really want to thank you for that, singing with you all these years, but always making sure that we tap into our relationship with God first, what the song and what the ministry and what the music means, and what our presence is and means in certain settings.
And to benefit from the anointing.
That's
you don't
right.
want to sing and everybody else benefiting and being blessed, and you doing the work and you not benefiting. You know, you want God to bless you the same, with the same measure.
That's right.
Or more, you know, for your sacrifice.
And he has given you the blueprint of having to know a lead singer.
A lead singer, yeah.
And
a choral singer, which is a background singer, right? And a soloist.
Yeah.
So you upcoming choirs, as soon as you master that.
that's step one.
Step one.
Yeah.
And then you'll be successful.
Because in choirs, you know, everybody be like, I want that song, I want that song, I want that song. My position is, I don't have everybody lead. You know, I have certain leaders in the group. Now, I also teach you, because you led this song this time, don't mean that's your song.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, you could lead it tonight. Next Sunday, I could say, leader, come on, sing the song. You know, and so that also makes it interesting, and then it makes it personal as well. You know.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I know my place. That's Suge and I'm Seeley. All I do is clap and.
Yeah. So before we close, we want to make mention again. The Gospel Jubilee will be coming up this coming Sunday on the 30th of July. Please bring your own chair. Please bring your family.
Mm-hmm.
We have Mr. Jasen Monroe here, who is one of the organizers, and this is the ninth year. Ninth year. So
And
excited about that. And the weather's going to be great. It has been a privilege. It has always been an honor to serve in that space. And they're doing the behind the scenes work for the Gospel Jubilee, but to also see how it manifests on the day of. And also, I do have one little secret question, because I'm Jasen's sister. I can ask it. And if any of y'all want to know it, what is your favorite section?
Alto.
Alto.
I love the alto section. They keep the melody. I think I'm an alto too.
I used to sing alto, but I'm a high tenor. And your favorite instrument?
I like the piano now.
Do you? And now I'm going to say, do you know that is why I love James Cleveland and Andre Crouch? The sound that they have on the piano. It's a different sound.
The piano sets the foundation.
Yeah. So is there anything you want to say, Jasen? Any shout outs you want to give? Because we're going to be closing out of our show.
Yeah, Resilient Praise people, to my mom, Mother Lorraine, to our pastor, Pastor Johnny Harris, my family, everybody, Jack, Ingrid, Nene, James, who else? And to just come out to the Jubilee on this Sunday from 4 to 7.
Yeah. And your sponsors, major sponsor, Molina Health.
We appreciate them.
And we will be remiss if we did not mention the Reverend Dr. T. Anthony Bronner.
Oh yeah, because he used to yell at us so much. Okay, now you have to get off the road.
Get off the road and come to church. And then he put us back on the road.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm so shocked that you didn't mention Roscoe.
And Roscoe,
Roscoe.
We got a new member of the choir. I don't know if he
coming Sunday too.
Roscoe can sing.
He got an audition.
Jasen has a dog that actually knows how to hold melody and can actually modulate on the tune.
Yeah.
So thank you all for joining us. Unspoken Elephants Incorporated. Win the Elephant Week Wednesdays. We will be coming to you every Wednesday now. We were coming the first and the third. We will be here every Wednesday with Rochester Free Radio, WRFZ 106.3. And remember to always give God glory.
Yes, could you tell a little bit more about UE?
Unspoken Elephants Incorporated. We started out in 2018. We got our 501c3 in 2020. Our focus is to provide relevant resources for individuals who have limited access. We also focus on the conversations that people have a hard time talking about. So we do community conversations, workshops, conferences, so we will be near you. This is our safe space. We first start out by having a conversation and talking about it, because what we know, the more you talk about it, the more we reduce the stigma. So stay tuned, stay with us, and we truly appreciate you all. Have a good evening.